not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And in this video here is I'm going to respond to the Sandman's video, his video entitled Sandman, and some of you may be familiar with him. He's a strong voice for the MGTOW movement, and in no means am I a follower of MGTOW or of Sandman. And he did a joint effort with it, and it seemed more like a Google Hangout with an rather educated black fellow by the name of Bobby Sinura, or Sinura, something like that. Now I'll just type his name down here for you to see. And Bobby, he has written a book titled Black Names Matter, and the book on black names. And in this video here, in no way this is not really a retort. I'm not going to try to go in and break them down, because they made some valid points. So in this video, I'm going to just go over, what they talked about and so forth, and then I'm going to insert my own analysis and how I process this information. But Black Names Matter, and just by that title, you should know that they're talking about black names. Some of the colorful names that we have and that we give our children, and are black people digging themselves a deeper hole by, by using these names, and so forth. And I tell you, talking about black people, what black people do, our habits, how we react to certain situations, makes for interesting discussion. Whether you love black people or whether you despise black people, everybody's talking about what we're doing, and so forth. And so here we go. Now, and now in my Bobby there said, no matter how outrageous a black person's name is, like Shanrika and so forth, or Quantavious, that if you can break the name down by syllable, and the syllables derive from somewhere, or that black people, may take two names, chop them up and put them together. Like a black man may be named Raymond, and a female may be named Yvonne, and they may name their child Rayvon, something like that. Or Shanrika, you chop it up, you got Sean, and Rika could be, Erica, but pronounced different, and you put them together, Shine, Erica, say Shanrika, and so forth. So that's an interesting outlook to it. And they also talked about how that in the 1960s, because supposedly the 1960s was our golden age, that black people and white people both shared popular names, like Opie and Adam, Jack, and so forth. Like, even if we analyze a lot of our civil rights leaders are black people in the 60s and 50s or whatever that made the history books, like Emmett Till, these sort of the sort of colorful names didn't exist, back then. But, black people was catching hell, So, and that's the thing, and that's what I don't want people to, is try to distract from. No matter back then, even when black people was doing the black family was together, we had good old-fashioned American names, which a lot of us still do. We went to church, and white people still gave us hell and so forth, just like they're giving us hell today. But now, supposedly the popular narrative is that white people, they're not as racist anymore, and now black people seem to be just shooting themselves in the foot, especially with these names. And they also spoke upon that, employer. Supposedly Bobby put together this video, almost a skit. It was a very well produced skit about an employer reading a name, some crazy name that he couldn't pronounce, and he says, "Oh, you're not likely to be hired, and an employer is not going to want you to be the head of a company or a representative of a company when you have some crazy name like Quantavius or Quandavion or something like that." And it had these two black dudes talking, and one dude had a crazy name, and they spoke, and they said, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to change your name or shorten your name. Someone who got Quantavius or whatever might, say, hey, I just want to go by the name of Quan or Quint or Quentin or something that sounds similar. And I understand that. But the thing is with employers, when they read something that may, because some of these, okay, before I get to it myself, that they spoke upon that some of these names, these colorful names or whatever, could be indicators, not just because you're black, but indicator of what your social status is. That, that if somebody with a crazy name, with these names, Walla Keisha or whatever, could indicate that, hey, this person comes from a low income environment, most likely a single parent household, from poverty and uneducated parents, and that black people of middle class, of a higher, tax bracket, is not likely to name their children, these, outrageous names and so forth. And I agree with that. Some of that is true. But, when we take, now, and going back to what I said about old school black names and new school black names, that, we look at names like Tyrone, Devon, Lamar, or whatever. Jerome, or, Antoine. That sometimes employers see these names also, which these names have a meaning and they derive from Europe. It might also send up red flags. For instance, let's look at Tyrone. Tyrone is infamous. Let's look at Tyrone. Tyrone is that's like the stock black name. So when people generalize black men, or when someone says, hey, I bet you got a boyfriend in jail by the name of Tyrone. There's even a guy who does videos, which are ignorant videos, ignorant videos. He said, I'm Tyrone and I want to fuck your wife or whatever. And the guy's name, his name actually isn't Tyrone. Tyrone is like the official black ghetto name. But doing my research, Tyrone actually, that's an Irish, that's Celtic. That means land of Ogan. That's like a very medieval European name, and so forth. And let's take the name of Jerome. Jerome comes from, there was a guy by the name of Saint Jerome. I guess he was a popular person in medieval Europe or whatever. And the name Jerome now means doctor of church. Antoine means endless beauty, priceless. The name Lamont means lawman. So if you know somebody by the name of Lamont, it could be a chat that they're the police. I'm just kidding. But what I'm saying to you, that names like Tyrone, Lamont, Antoine, Leon, or whatever, these are considered black names because white people don't touch them no more. You don't see white people with these names anymore, and so forth. It's almost like black people took a fancy to certain names that even has European origin, and white people look and say, okay, these names are sort of contaminated. Like Nikita and Tamika. I'm like, that's Russian. That's straight East European. A lot of our so-called black names, ghetto names or whatever, they're definitely not African. You can't even break them down by syllable, they're not African. Unless you go into the Jamal and the Kareems, and those are Arabic names. Jamal, Kareems, Malik, Arabic names that, black people, when, I guess, in the late 60s and 70s, when a lot of black men converted to Islam or whatever, they adopted these names. I think, Malcolm X changed his name to Malik Al-Shabazz and so forth. But, you know what I'm saying, here in America, you know, you only see black people with the name of Malik and Kareem and Jabal and Jamal and so forth. You know, other than, you know what I'm saying, Arabic immigrants, you know what I'm saying, coming over, the immigrants and so forth. So it's like when employees see, and that's what I'm trying to say here, that whether employees see a name like Quantavious or just see a name Jerome, you know, that's like, okay, this person is black and this person probably still comes from lower income housing or whatever. You know, I think someone by the name of Tyrone and someone by the name of Draconius is going to be looked at as the same way. And still, even if we look at things, you know, in the black community, we still got plenty of black men, you know, including myself, that got those quote unquote normal American Anglo-Saxon names. Names like Tom and Gerald and John and Michael. You know what I'm saying? There's more black people, black men with the name Michael than, you know what I'm saying, Tyrone and so forth. And Tyrone's not even a bad name. And we observe, we're seeing these guys, some of these black men by the name of David and Ernest, you know, and Earl, and they're still being caught up in the system. They're still ended up being statistics. They're still selling drugs. They're still ended up being gangbangers. So some of us would be like, oh, well, you know, what's the matter? What difference does it make what I name a kid? There's a good chance he's going to end up just, you know what I'm saying, on the street somewhere. And then when we look at the black men being gunned down by the police, you know what I'm saying, like I watching videos like someone said about Trayvon Martin, you know, maybe if his name wasn't Trayvon, he wouldn't get shot. Or Laquan McDowell, well, maybe if his name wasn't Laquan, he wouldn't have got shot or whatever. But, you know, what about Alton Sterling and Eric Garner, Walter Scott? You know, those are good American. Mike Brown. The name Mike Brown just seems like somebody who freaking goes to chili dog eating contest every year with an American flag in his pocket. You can't get more American than Mike Brown. You know, and that's the thing. So you're still black. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know what I'm saying, the important part of here. You know, and if I wonder that, you know, that in a lot of our names that we fancy, the Jeromes or whatever, I know I'm repeating myself, a lot of them are European, but they're specifically French Latin, you know, or East Russian. You know, and we just kind of, you know, flipped it or whatever. But I wonder if black people started naming their kids names that sound medieval Europe or Middle Earth, like Mador or Troxton or Willie Forge. You know, would that make a difference if the name literally sounds Western European? You know, so forth. And that's the thing. So I in no ways am I trying to promote, you know, naming your kids a name that you just completely made up off your head because you want your kid to have some unique name that's different from everyone else. But, you know what I'm saying, when we see black men with these with those good names, you know what I'm saying, ended up in the same position as black men with those colorful names, then, and the thing is, I think that black women, black girls are more likely to get these outrageous names than black men. And here's why. A lot of black women, you know, cling to their Bible. They go to church and they're reading chapters out the Bible, whatever. They're constantly hearing names such as Joseph, Matthew, you know what I'm saying, Michael, you know what I'm saying, Isaiah, biblical names, you know, and so forth. And they're going to name their kids after that. And there's more famous black men than black women. You know, when they hear names such as Michael Jordan, Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, and so forth, so they're likely to name them all, you know, off names that they hear, and that there's not as many black female celebrities, and you definitely don't hear too many women names in the Bible. You know, I got a cousin named Mary, that comes from the Bible. But, you know what I'm saying, real feminine, like, cause they say black women followed white women into feminism. But I know that real hardcore feminists protest the Bible. You know, because they feel that the Bible is derogatory.